Yo, what up, everybody? What up? This your brother Kareem Supreme. Check this out. Just chilling, listening to the birds chirp on this beautiful late spring day, May 28th, 2021. I want to talk about something that came out on May 28th, 1991. Check this out. NWA Niggas for Life. This was their second studio album. Well, some say third, if you want to include NWA and the Posse. Then Straight Outta Compton. Then Niggas for Life. And this is the original CD from 1991. Check this out. That's the original CD. They came out with a reissue of this CD, and it had featured tracks from the 100 Miles and Running. Oh, I forgot about the EP, the 100 Miles and Running, the single. So that wasn't considered an album. That was like an extended single, or it was an EP. It only had like 6 or 7 songs on it. But the reissued version of Niggas for Life had the songs from 100 Miles and Running on here. It featured those 7 extra songs. But anyway, yeah, I felt like this album was probably their greatest album. Don't get me wrong, Straight Outta Compton was good, but they went all the way in on this album. Dr. Dre said, if y'all think Straight Outta Compton is gonna be bad, this next album is gonna be a lot worse. And when he said that, he was not lying. He was not lying. I'm gonna tell you why. Just look at the album cover. You see those white clouds? That white haze? Those are spirits. Basically what the album cover showed was the members of NWA died at a police scene. Well, they died at a crime scene, and now their spirits are rising. You see Eazy-E right here grabbing the camera. Dr. Dre getting up, Ren and Yella standing there. Ice Cube said in an interview that if he would have stayed with the group, he would have had a problem with this album cover. He said he wasn't putting himself dying and then the spirits rising. He said he wasn't with that. He said he would have been the only one standing on the side, not dead, which makes sense because art imitates reality, or reality imitates art, vice versa. KRS-One said, you got to watch what you put out to the universe because it'll attract you. So if you're putting out death, chaos, and destruction, that comes back to haunt you. It always comes back to bite you in the ass or somebody close to you. Now, with that being said, the songs, the first song was Prelude. That was the introduction. Ren just went off. He just went off. That was the first time I really heard MC Ren go at it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the first time I really heard him give it his best. You know what I mean? Because he had solo songs on Straight Outta Compton, but you could tell he probably was just freestyling, in the zone. He was, just happy to record because, Straight Outta Compton was the first time you really heard MC Ren. You didn't hear him on the NWA and the Posse album. But when this album came out and Ice Cube was out the way, Ren just went all in. I mean, he said, the thing that got me is when he said, niggas been rapping since the 70s and still never went gold. I felt like he was talking about New York rappers, because a lot of New York rappers, have been out since the 70s. Of course, New York is where hip hop started. So a lot of New York rappers have been out since the 70s and none of them have reached gold. But Ren didn't know that a lot of New York rappers was just doing it for the culture, and they may have not been selling millions or 500,000 of millions of records or whatever, but they toured constantly. You know what I mean? You know, they were more concerned about, you know, performing. You know, they didn't really care about radio play or record sales back then. You know, hip hop is a way of life for us New Yorkers. You know, even though hip hop started in the Bronx, that vibration spread all throughout New York State and the New Jersey metropolitan area. So we do it for the love of the culture. You know what I mean? Like, I do these videos for the love of the culture. I make music for the love of the culture. You know, if I sell 1 million records, that's great. But if I don't, I still live hip hop. I am hip hop. But it was funny the way he put it. You know what I mean? But shout out to MC Ren, man. That shit was dope. Now, the second song, Real Niggas Don't Die. First of all, I want to say, when I first heard this album, my stepfather bought it. I was about 11 years old, and I was surprised he bought it because he was in his 30s. And like most of my friends' parents in their 30s, they listened to funk, jazz, blues. You know, my parents listened to hip hop. You know, my stepfather, he was an ignorant, he was a ignorant type of dude. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say he was stupid, but you know, he was a street dude. He had a street mentality. So this album fit his persona, and he played it. He loved it. He played it over and over and over and over and over. And one thing I could say is this album is when I first started seeing the destruction of let me run that back. This album was the soundtrack to the destruction of Black America. I wouldn't blame it all on this album, but I felt like this was the soundtrack. Like in the summer of 1991, that's when I started seeing destruction, chaos in the black community. I started seeing it going down. It was going down in the 80s, in the late 90s, but man, 91, 92, murder rates was at an all-time high. Everything. People were smoked out, walking around like zombies. Women tricking. Women getting beat up and raped and choked. You know, prostitutes getting raped and choked. It was just crazy. And I felt like, to this day, I still feel like this album is inspired a lot of people to want to go out and commit those types of crimes. Because on the song Real Niggas Don't Die, Ren said real niggas don't die because we eventually multiply. I started hearing about people being on being on heroin and getting AIDS through sharing needles, getting AIDS from prostitution. You know, dudes tricking with prostitutes. I felt like it was being done on purpose to our community to stop us from multiplying. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt like this album was the soundtrack to the destruction of the black community. You know, they didn't want us to multiply or procreate. They still don't really, but back in 91, I really started seeing it. Like, you know, you hear stories about women putting their babies in the trash cans. I did a video about that a couple of months ago. It was just crazy. It was just crazy. But Real Niggas Don't Die. That was about how the government can't stop us from multiplying, but they started putting those drugs in our communities and those diseases, doping up our kids with Ritalin and all types of drugs. It was just a crazy world at that time. That 1991 was the beginning, and we still seeing it 30 years later, but in different ways. Now, the song Niggas for Life. That was a deep song. My favorite line was when Dre said, I might as well call myself a nigga. It's better than pulling the trigger and going up a river. Then I get called a nigga anyway. Broke as a motherfucker and locked away. He was talking about, because a lot of people was wondering why do NWA call themselves niggas with attitudes. Now, take you back to the Straight Outta Compton days. It seemed like when that album first came out, I started hearing more and more people call themselves niggas. I mean, people was doing it before then, but not like that. Richard Pryor came out with that album, That Nigga's Crazy. Yeah, people were saying it a little bit, but I felt like NWA was responsible for a lot of young people calling each other niggas. Then you started seeing Hispanics calling each other niggas, Asians calling each other niggas. Man, everybody was using the word nigga. That's all you heard. I kind of felt like NWA sort of helped make it cool for everybody to say it, because I wasn't hearing people say nigga like that. If you go back before 88, you didn't hear rappers saying nigga. The only rappers I ever heard saying nigga was Schoolie D, the first gangster rapper, and Ice-T. The first rapper I heard saying nigga was Schoolie D. He was the first rapper I heard say everything. Talk about shooting people, killing people, drugs. He was the first gangster rapper. But before 87, 88, rappers all across the board wasn't saying niggas like that. They wasn't using the N-word like that. NWA, I feel like they revitalized it. Yeah, the song Protest, that was another skit about a news reporter getting shot. Appetite for Destruction. They got that title from a Guns N' Roses album, Appetite for Destruction. Eazy-E was good friends with Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. And from what I understand, Eazy-E was into that heavy metal. I mean, back in the 80s, a lot of black people were, even including myself. You know, Guns N' Roses, Led Zeppelin, Bon Jovi. Those are all some good heavy metal acts, believe it or not. Black Sabbath, all of them. Those are the good old days back when we watched MTV and VH1. You had to watch it all day just to see your favorite black artists. You know, because it wasn't like they played black recording artists on a regular. You had to sit through a bunch of heavy metal videos and a bunch of other rock alternative videos, new wave videos, just to see Prince or Michael Jackson. But you ended up liking some of those white musicians. Only the real could relate. Only the Generation X can relate to that. But yeah, Appetite for Destruction. That was a video that got banned. They was robbing a bank. They was dressed like the movie. They was dressed like the gangsters from the movie The Untouchables, with Elliot Ness and all them. Now check this out. Don't Drink That Wine. That was another song that I felt like, you know, people listened to and they sort of like started doing, because they said, don't drink that wine, Coke would be better, it's easy to find. People thought doing Coke was cool because, and then they started thinking drinking wine was worse than doing Coke. It was just crazy. Don't drink that wine, Coke will be better, it's easy to find. If that don't do, smoke a joint or two. Man, it was just crazy. Now, Always Into Something. That was the beginning of the G-Funk era. That song solidified the beginning. That was the birth of the G-Funk era. They had a video for that too. And that was the first time I seen a lowrider in a video, in a rap video. On hydraulics, hitting switches. But anyway, Message to B.A., a message to Benedict Arnold. That was a skit dissing Ice Cube. And the funny thing about that, I tell people this all the time. The funny thing about that skit was the girl that said, since Ice Cube is sucking so much New York dick, why don't he come and eat some of this Chicago pussy? She sounded just like she was from Chicago. She had a Chicago accent. They must have really went and got a chick from Chicago to do that skit, because she sounded like she was really from Chicago. That's how them ladies sound. I've dated I had two girlfriends from Chicago. She sounded like both of them. And yeah, and then Real Niggas, that was another diss to Ice Cube. At first I thought they was talking about the Ghetto Boys. They want to be like us, dress like us, sound like us. Ashes to ashes and dust to dust. And To Kill a Hooker, I didn't really care. I liked it. You know, it was good theatrics. You know, it was a good skit, but I didn't like the concept, you know. They pull a girl into the car and then shoot her, and I felt like they was advocating rape. Oh, fuck the bitch, fuck her, fuck her. I ain't fucking this bitch, fuck her. Then they shoot her and throw her out. I didn't really care for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. That pissed a lot of people off. See, Dolores Tucker really got pissed. All the feminists was pissed off. Woo! They were pissed. They were pissed like a bitch. Now, one less bitch you got. That was another song. It was talking about killing women, black women. Didn't like that. I like beats. Dre's beats will put you in a trance. But when I was young, I didn't understand it. I was just going along with the flow, just jamming like everybody else. But when I got older, I'm like, damn, these dudes was going in. But Find Them, Fuck 'Em, and Flee, that was a funny song. That song features CPO. CPO's in the motherfucking house. 365 pounds. More bounce to the ounce, and I say what counts. And what counts tonight is the show ain't over till the fat man fucks. Whatever happened to CPO? I don't know. I liked him. He had an album out with MC Ren. I think MC Ren produced it. But Automobile, that was another funny song. I kind of felt like without Ice Cube, they were able to be more raw, because it was raw and straight out of Compton album, but that was more about street knowledge. They was informing you what was going on the streets. They was more like news reporters and shit, you know. But without Ice Cube, they sort of lost that street knowledge mentality, you know, and they was just going raw. You know, it was funny and it was raw and entertaining at the same time, but a lot of people didn't agree with the concepts. A lot of people didn't agree with the the lyrical aspect of it. But what's the next song? She Swallowed It. Oh my goodness. That song pissed a lot of people off. Pissed a lot of people off the toilet seat. Why? Because MC Ren was talking about getting head from a 14-year-old preacher's daughter. A 14-year-old preacher's daughter. I remember feminists were pissed. If they would have came out with that oh man, I just hope they don't get Me Too'd. You read the comment sections on YouTube for this song, it sounds like people are trying to Me Too them. And Ren was young himself, but he wasn't that young, you know what I mean? He was probably about 20. 19, 20. Yeah, he was 20 or 21. But still, you know, 14. They. Oh man, I just hope. You know, they like to go back 30, 35, 40 years ago on black men. You know, nobody leave the industry clean. Not a black man, no. But I'm sure MC Ren was just rhyming, you know what I mean? A lot of times you write to excite, you know. It's the shock value as an artist, as a hip hop artist. You know, you write to shock the listeners, you know what I mean? But anyway, what was the next song? I'd Rather Fuck You. That was from I'd Rather Be With You. It was a remake of Bootsy Collins' song, I'd Rather Get With You. Dope song with Eazy-E, and I think it was Michelle A singing. Some people say it was Jewel, but I thought it was Michelle A. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Now, Approach to Danger. That was supposed to be a video, but Dre had left. One thing about this album, once this album was released, Dre had already left. He just got up and left everything. He said, fuck this shit. He said, fuck Jerry Heller, fuck Ruthless, fuck everything. I'm out of here. Y'all can have all this shit. You know what I mean? So that video never, I believe it was released on YouTube, but it was never completed. You know, because, Dre wasn't there, you know what I mean? It was just Eazy and Ren. Yella didn't rap, you know what I mean? So I think they made a video with, I don't remember, I haven't seen it in years. But let me know in the comment section. 1-902 Compton, that's the next song. That was a song, that was actually that was an actual hotline, 1-902 Compton. They charged like $5 a minute, so I never called. I don't think anybody ever called that I knew of. But anyways, it was a real phone line. The last song was The Days of Way Back. That was another dope song. They was talking about how Compton was back in the days, back in the 60s, 70s, when they were growing up. And it was once extremely calm. If I'm not mistaken, President Bush, he grew up in Compton. You know, it was a white suburb, the hub city. You know, but once the blacks started moving in, guess what? The whites started moving out. And yeah, this album, this was one of my most frequently purchased albums. Like I bought the CD, the tape, the record. I don't know how many times I bought the record. You know, back in my DJ days, I don't know how many times I bought it, but well over 10, no lie. And yeah, I want to know y'all feedback. How did y'all feel about this album? This was a great album musically, production-wise, from top to bottom. You know, and it was the last time NWA, Dre had produced with Easy, you know what I mean? Because Eazy-E died 4 years later, right before they squashed their beef. You know? One of the lines on this album that would always stick with me is when Eazy-E said, "Nigga, please, I'm treated like a fucking disease." You say, why do I call myself a nigga so quick? Because I can reach in my drawers. But when he said, "I'm treated like a fucking disease," that kind of made me think, damn, they treating him fucked up, but damn, a disease. And then he ended up getting AIDS. I don't know. I don't like hearing that part. You know, I cringe when I hear that part. Now that I'm in my 40s, you know, when I was young, I just thought it was, a good punchline. But now that makes me cringe. It's your boy Kareem Supreme. Holla at me in the comment section. I want to know y'all thoughts. Thanks in advance. Peace.